Okay, so here's what we're going to do. This is after we've calculated all the taxes, we have to put it all together on one sheet of paper so that we can all understand how much the employees owe in federal income tax, Social Security tax, Medicare taxes, and all the other deductions that are taken out of it. So we record it in what's called a payroll register. And what the payroll register is simply just a sheet of paper that records all of the information from the time card, plus all the deductions, and the check that we wrote them out to on just simply, like I said, a sheet of paper. If you take a look on the screen in front of you, we're on page 351 in your textbook, it records what we do is we take the employees, we take their status, marital status, we take the number of allowances they have, we go to their time card, record the regular time and overtime, and then the gross pay, record all of the deductions, which is what we just did, and we'll do another one here in just a second. And we take the gross pay minus the deductions, gives us our net pay, and then we record what check number we wrote it on as well. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to specifically just look at Rick Shelby. So let's take a look at just him, and let's calculate this together one more time so that we're comfortable with it before we move on. Rick is married. He has 4 allowances. The total gross pay was $1,137. Now what we do is we go to the married chart, we take our fingers down to $1,120, but less than $1,140. We take our finger over to 4 allowances, and that gives us the $28. We then take the $1,137 and multiply it by the 6.2% Social Security tax rate. That gives us our $70.49. Medicare is done the same way. Total earnings, $1,137 times 1.45% gives us our $16.49. Then he's having $60 deducted from once a month from the paycheck and $20 in other types of deductions. That could be United Way, it could be bonds, it could be so forth. We add up those total deductions. That gives us $194.98. We subtract that from the gross earnings. That gives us our $942.02, and that's how much we write the check out for, $487 for that amount. So that's where we get all those numbers and all those calculations are. Now we do that for every single one of our employees. That is called the payroll register. Again, it keeps track of each employee for a certain pay period. If you want to keep track, and we do want to keep track of each individual employee, then what we need to do is we need to create its own sheet of paper, and that's called an earnings record. Now you can follow along and listen along with me, or you can turn to page 353 in your textbook, and that gives us an example of what the earnings record is. We use the earnings record to keep track of its accumulated earnings for each employee. Now the reason we do that is because once an employee hits a certain amount of money, makes a certain amount of money, we don't have to pay the taxes on that employee anymore. So we need to keep track of that. Now remember, it's always the accumulated earnings plus the gross pay. It's basically carrying the information down from the payroll register for everybody to an individual to the earnings record and keeping track of his accumulated earnings. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to spend a little time, go ahead and go to page 355 and try the on your own and calculate that, and then we'll come back and finish the last section.